Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, I'm a geek. You are watching Kevin the Geek, and today I'm doing, well, something a little bit different. So now that Benidorm has come to an end, I have come across this character tier list ranking thing. I've never done one of these before. I've seen them, I've never really done one. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look. And the 60 characters in here in total, some of which have literally been in one episode, and some characters who've literally been in every single episode. So it's going to be a bit of a hodgepodge. I've edited it because the one it came up with originally, it's one of those typical ones that you typically see where it's like God tier, brilliant, okay, blah 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 blah. Because it's Benidorm and it's all about holidays, I've decided to go with a tier ranking based on your normal kind of hotel tier system, on the star rating. So we've got 1 stars all the way up to 5 stars. And yeah, I'm going to go through it. Some of my picks may be controversial. Some of them I have an idea of where they are pretty much straight away. Some of which I'm like, might have to work it out as I go along, kind of based on where I put other characters. And I've sort of randomized them a little bit to make them a little bit, so it's not all necessarily, in an order that you may expect. So let's start off. And this one technically is not so much the character, more so the person. Darren Litton, who of course created the show. He's been in a smattering of episodes as a handful of different characters, but I have to put him in the 5-star category because fundamentally without him, this show would not be here. So just straight away, he has to be a 5-star for me. And that is more Darren rather than his character of Elvis or random man in airport and stuff like that. And then, of course, the other character that we have to put straight into the 5-star is Matteo. Literally has been in every episode. Again, it feels like it would be Benidorm if you did not have Matteo. The one episode that he was barely in was that one, maybe start of series 8, I think. Because obviously at the end of the previous series, he'd run away, he'd gone to Madrid with Liam, and then he sort of came back right at the very end of the episode. And yeah, that whole episode without Matteo, just something felt off. So the moment he came back, all was right with the world again. Now, the original manager of the Solana, Janie. I'm trying to think where to put her. Because she was obviously in for like 5 series, wasn't she? But when you especially compare her to Joyce, she did basically bugger all for a lot of the time period. So absolutely cannot be higher than a 3-star. She was very shouty. And then, of course, she tried to screw over the Solana and Joyce for no apparent reason. And she actually did screw over. You know what? 2-star. 2-star for Janie. I think her screwing over the Solana for literal no reason at all, basically, you're going down, love. We've got Bobby Ball, who literally, if you haven't seen it yet, he literally only appears in the final ever episode. So straight away cannot be anywhere higher than a 3-star. I love Bobby Ball from the little I've seen of him so far on the channel. Depending on when you're watching this, in the future or in the past, I've done or will be doing an episode of the Cannon and Ball show. And of course, he's featured in, Not Going Out quite a bit. I liked him, what he brought to the table. I wish he'd been in more episodes. And you know what? I'm going to put him as a 3-star. Because I think, had he been in more episodes and we saw definitely the potential of his development of his character with Jacqueline by the end, I think he would have been a good character. So, and especially if he'd been able to pair it with Eddie, which of course wouldn't have happened because Bobby had passed away by the end of the series of filming, so they wouldn't have been able to have anything there. But yeah, it's a shame that what could have been for this one. Vladimir, also from Series 10, Kenneth's, seaman lover. Some people would probably put him right at the bottom. I'm gonna put him at 2-star because it was a bit of annoying of a character, but also there was a sweetness to him that he literally gives up his wife and his family, and unlike Kenneth, who is literally lying to him, he actually does try and live the life in the way that he wanted. And it was a kind of sad one for him. So it wasn't absolutely awful in the 2 episodes that he appeared in, but yeah, he can't be that much higher, to be perfectly honest. Jodie Dawson, a character who appeared in 2 out of the 3 series that the Dawsons appeared in. I'm gonna put her also in a 2-star because I just don't think she was really given enough to do. And that's the problem that you sometimes have with some of these younger characters. It's like trying to go, what are we actually going to do with them? She had the bit where she gets pushed in the pool. She does a whole thing with the acting. But she just didn't do a lot. She just didn't do enough for me to warrant her any higher. Our first 1-star, straight in the bottom, Yanela. I hate gold digging characters. Absolutely hate them with a barge pole. You could have argued when she came back, maybe this is a bit of a character growth kind of thing for her. But the way she came back to Jeff, running up to him at the airport, it's like, where's your bag? Oh, I don't need my bag. Where's your passport? I don't need my... Actually, no, you kind of do need your passport. Yes. I had to decide between my head and my heart, and I've chosen to stay with my multi-million husband. Nah. Right at the bottom. Similarly, our crazy dentist guy is a 1 or a 2. I'm going to put him at the bottom. I'm going to put him over a 1-star. And the reason for that, I think, Nigel Havers, he turned up for one little episode where he was it was to do with the Herbert's teeth and everything. But then he came back in Series 10. And if it had just been that first singular episode, you maybe go, yeah, a simple little cameo, one-off appearance, maybe a 3-star. But the way he came back, the way he was treating Jacqueline, the way that he became effectively the dentist from Little Shop of Horrors without any oomph that the dentist has in Little Shop of Horrors, nah, straight at the bottom for me. So Henry next, and I'm going to go a 2-star. Just not a great character. He was just there in a lot of cases. He had a few odd moments that he was okay with, but yeah, it wasn't great. And the 3-way kind of love triangle between him, Joyce, and Monty, I just didn't buy it personally. I really didn't buy it. Speaking of him, Monty. Eesh. So he definitely can't be bottom. He definitely can't be the top 2. He's literally between a 3 and a 2. And I tell you what, I'm going to equally put him in a 2-star, but I'm going to put him ahead of Sir Henry. He's a slightly better character. I'm going to sort of bring these down a little bit. I'm going to try and order them in a way. But Monty, he... again, he sort of turned up initially as a sort of character that, in theory, is based a bit on his Boise character from Only Fools and Horses, and the stuff he did with with Tiger and Clive and Terry. I quite like that stuff. And again, had it been solely limited to that, maybe it would have been a bit higher. The way he became, particularly in Series 10, he was just all puppy dog, gooey-eyed kind of thing. He just didn't give me anything at all. And I don't understand the marriage between him and Joyce. I really don't. I'll probably try and talk a bit more about that when I get to Joyce herself. But I just didn't get it. It just came sort of out of the blue. So, yeah, he's on the higher side of a 2-star, but 2-star nonetheless. Sammy Valentino, Shane Ritchie. Again, a lot of people will put him at a 1-star because just how terrible and annoying he is. I kind of liked him, and I'll put that mostly down to Shane Ritchie and his natural charm. So I'm going to put him as a 2-star again. He can't be higher than that, because as a character, he was very annoying, and probably intentionally so. But no, he has to be a 2-star. That's it. The character of Jason, who was the niece of Janie, 1 star. Again, just typical. He turns up, Jack a lad kind of thing, and then again he screwed over Joyce and everything. So didn't like him as a character at any point. 1 star. Buck-a-roo, Leslie Jordan. He was fine. It seems like I'm getting a lot of the lower ones out quite early on. But I'm going to put him in a 3. I kind of liked him. And again, it was what I said with some of the others. A shorter spell sometimes does you better. I kind of liked him, the way he just turned up. And yeah, it was a fun little character. Nice way to see the Garveys off. Neville, the Series 9 temporary replacement for Leslie when obviously Tim Healy got ill. Again, 3-star. Top of the 3-star at the moment, because he turned up and yes, he was in effect a carbon copy Leslie, just without the wigs and everything. But the way I think he interacted with the staff, I really liked him. And he just blended in really, really well. I liked him for that. Chantal Garvey, the first of the Garveys to come up, and obviously with baby Coolio as well. Now, a lot of people could argue top tier. She's one of the originals. She's the OG. Some may go, she's not. Obviously, she wasn't in quite as long enough, and maybe put her down to a 4-star. Obviously, her interactions with Madge were great. At the moment, I'm literally airing between 3-star and 4-star. It's like a 3.5-star. I kind of feel for her. You know what? She's going to go for a top 3-star. She's pushing on a 4, but other than her arguments with Madge, again, she didn't do a lot. And that is her downfall, I think, because she was in a lot more episodes. She didn't do a huge amount. So I'm going to put her down there for that reason. But you could argue for a 4-star. Michael Garvey, again, similarly, I'm going to put him at a 3. Because again, I just feel early on, he was just a little kid. He was just there, props up, odd few lines. In a couple of the later series, he started to develop as a character a bit more. I wouldn't have mind seeing both of them come back in a later year, particularly Chantal. Because I think that could have worked well in a later series, maybe like series 8, 9, 10. Because obviously she had the baby in series 1. She came back in like series 8 or 9. Baby Coolio would be like 7, 8 years old. And they could have done something with her, something a little bit different, even if we're not bringing all of the Garveys back. Madge, of course, top tier. Absolute, no question, is she a 5-star. She was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The venom, spitefulness that comes out. It is the grandma that everyone loves to hate. And she cannot be anywhere else. Asa Elliott, he is obviously resident singer, often singing at the Solana. He's not a top tier. Again, he falls somewhere in here. I mean, he is as iconic to the show in a way. If you're thinking about the singers, he's one that you will often think of. Maybe him and Sean Foster Connolly in some of the earlier years. But he can only be a 3-star because he just turned up, sung a few songs, did good, but just sang a few songs. So I'll put him behind the Garveys there, but he's an upper 3-star. Again, maybe version on 4. And then our next 2 is Hale and Pace, who of course came in for series 10. Now, as Hale and Pace, I don't know much about them. But what I did see of them in Benidorm, I enjoyed. I thought they were fun. And it was that whole kind of almost like an old married couple bickering vibe, but it was through obviously 2 long-term work partners who've just been together for such a long time. So again, they're going to be, I mean, at the moment, 3-star now is taking the edge, but yeah, they're definitely a 3-star. And I will put them in again behind the Garveys because they were there and did a lot more, I think, than a lot of some of the others. Now, the rest of the Garveys, Janice and Mick. Come on, where else was I going to put them? Again, the three of them, Madge, Mick, and Janice, like, you take one of them out, the balance isn't there. You've got to have the three of them together. Simple as. Now we're moving on to, again, some of our later characters, some of the more younger ones. And we're starting with Tiger Dyke, who went through quite a few different iterations of his character. So he started off as a sort of maybe about 15, 16-year-old, kind of hanging out with Michael in Series 6. Then in Series 7, he sort of tallied up with his dad and his aunt. And then Series 8 and 9 with sort of Joey and with Rob. And as he got along, I thought he became a stronger character. The early kind of ones, with a lot of the Dykes, I was like, not so keen on them. But he grew. He really did grow. So he's going to be my first 4-star character. I think what he grew into really worked for him as a character. And he didn't stay as just Jack the Lad. He sort of evolved as a character, which I always liked. Callum, who obviously partnered with Joey in Series 10, I feel bad for that character. Because as a character, he wasn't too bad. But I think a lot of people, by pairing him in with Joey, doesn't give him the credit that maybe that character deserves. And I feel he gets harshly treated. So I'm going to make him a 3-star. Bottom 3-star. Again, you could argue between a 2 and 3, but he's going to be a 3-star. Because I did not mind him. I didn't mind what he brought to the table, in all honesty. Joey himself, though. Such a difficult one. Because, again, he's a character that, similar to like the Sammy Valentino, you just really didn't like in a lot of cases. You really didn't like him. Because just how stupid they made him. But he had this sweetness to him. I mean, I've met a bunch of really stupid people in the past, and the fundamental core, they're not bad people. So again, I'm going to put him at the bottom of the 3-star level. I don't think he's bad as a lot of people make him out to be. That's my personal opinion. Another character who didn't appear a lot in the show with, what's her face? Oh, Amber. That's her name, Amber. But I'll tell you what she did do. She made an impact with her singular season on the show. And you know where she's going? Straight into 4-star. She was a great character. It was a mistake letting her go. Because like her standing up to Mateo was great. Her kind of doing more and trying to make all of the staff feel all-inclusive. That was not an intentional pun there, but I'm taking it. Yeah, she was a great character. And the way that Rob was with her at the end, like they could have done so much more with her as a character. And yeah, I get it. You know, in real life, there will be people that literally do this kind of job for literally a season and then go off and go either stay doing the same job somewhere else or they go back to a normal job. But yeah, absolutely loved Amber. Thought she was a great character. Rob Dawson. Again, cannot be the bottom 2 levels. He has to be between a 3 and a 4. Because I liked him. I really did like him. He was especially when he was paired up with Tiger and with Joey. And of course he's dealing with the pressures of his family as well. He's better than Joey was. Oh, excuse me. I'm literally torn. You know, I'm going to put him at a lower 4. You know, behind Tiger, but I liked him. I did like him. I thought it was good. His later partner, Sid, again, nice character. Where where do we put her? She's a difficult one. Again, I think she deserves to be a 3-star. She's good, solid in what she did. No frills, no fuss. So, yeah, I'm going to put her in a 3-star. And now we're getting to some of the big hitters again. Jeff Maltby, a.k.a. the Oracle, and his mother, Noreen.
She's me PA.
And, of course, his sister, Pauline. I mean, Noreen definitely 100% is top tier. Without a shadow of a doubt. Pauline... oh, she's a difficult one. Because you could argue within the three of them, she could be top tier. You could say that maybe she didn't do as much, maybe drop it down to a 4. You could even say 3-star because what she did do, while good, was repetitive in a lot of cases. I'm going to put Pauline at lower 4-star. I don't think she deserves top tier billing. Who does? Jeff Maltby, the Oracle. Oh, Johnny Vegas. What a coup to get him. He was fantastic. And rounding off that little kind of quartet, Malcolm, Pauline's sort of abusive kind of boyfriend / ex-boyfriend by the end. I'm going to put him at a 2-star because I hated the character. But they did the character well in making him someone that you wanted to hate. What Mark Heap did with the character was great, but the character is an abuser, and I don't like that. He cannot be a 1-star because what he did was quote unquote good, in terms of the performance style of it. So it has to be a 2, but yeah, not a nice character by any stretch of imagination. Another one who was not a nice character, but just Jack, who was the sort of the constant love interest for Janice. After the first episode or 2, I was just like, why are they bringing him back? I don't like him. No one really tends to like him. He was just showing up and like, oh yeah, here he is, caused a bit of conflict again for Janice, but they never went anywhere with it. So nah, he sucks. Absolute sucks. Now a little, again, sort of little trio. You got Natalie, Trudy, and Sam. So Sam, of course, was in it a hell of a lot more. So I'll come to her last of the 3. Natalie, 1-star. Hated her. Absolutely hated her. Just the way she pranced about. It's like, oh, I'm not. I don't love Mateo anymore. We had the thing and we were engaged and blah. By the end, I'm just like, give it a freaking rest, because you're whining that you don't love him anymore, and now you're saying, oh, maybe I do love him, and maybe there are some more. Just that kind of character really, really aggravates me. So, no, didn't like her at all. Trudy, I liked, and she had a much better chemistry with Sam. So Trudy, I'm going to put her as a 3-star. I think she was good. I think she really did well in her role there. I liked her with that. Now Sam, I feel that they've sort of retconned her character in the last series, because in the last episode or 2 they were going on about that she's like really old and that she's like 40, which I'm guessing that's maybe closer to what the actress is in real life, possibly. But when you think about her season with Trudy, they made a big deal about the fact that Trudy was like, pushing 40 or over 40 and everything, and that she couldn't get on the 18 to 30s boat trip kind of thing. Whereas Sam, if we're going by series 10, she would have still been sort of like mid-30s at that point. So, they're kind of pushing it a little bit, because I thought she was a similar age to the sort of Natalie, so maybe mid to late 20s. I thought that's where they were going with. So when they did this whole thing with Joe at the end, it's like, oh, she's like 20 years older than him. I was like, what? Really? Sam, I did like. She was good. I am going to put her in a 4-star. It is, again, I think it's going to be a low 4-star. You could argue between a 3 and a 4. But, yeah, what she did was above average, I would say. But I think I just needed a bit more from her. Maybe it was just the pairings of who she with just holds her back ever so slightly. Now, Joyce Temple Savage is next. And, oh, this is definitely the hardest one so far. Because, again, you could argue up into a 5-star. You could argue a 4-star. You could maybe make an argument for a top-tier 3-star. And I think with Joyce, my biggest issue is what they did with seemingly a lot of characters, and the later series, I think, as they were running out of storylines, it made it harder and harder to make them work as a character. Like when Joyce came in series 5 or 6, whichever one it was, she just nailed it. Literally nailed it from day one. The way she was as a character, the kind of posher upper one, with a stick up her ass, wanting to make this liner better than realistically it was fantastic. Even just like, I think it was like the second episode where she had that little tete-a-tete with Mateo. And then things like her choices of, or rather the writer's choices of romantic partners, like the one with Squirrel, Squirrel Big Cock, as Mateo used to call him. That was a great pairing. The Monty and Sir Henry one just didn't work for me. And as I've come back to it, the wedding thing feels like it makes no sense. Because with Monty, it was just a sort of on, off, all the way, and just like odd appearances here and there. And I think it might have been the last time we saw him was that whole issue with the key cards, where Monty thought that she was literally sleeping with all the guests, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm gonna put her at an upper 4-star because she deserves and could argue the merits to be literal 5-star. But her later stuff, I think, has just dragged her back ever so slightly for me, and that's why she cannot be 5-star. That's why I'm going with that. Now, again, back to a couple of OGs, Martin and Kate, and then later Brandy. So Martin, he had a tough time in the first 2 series, being with Kate, who was just in a bad mood all the time. Real bad mood. I think when Brandy came in, you started to see a better side of Martin. And then again, when he came back in series 6, I think it was, with the Dykes, obviously you had the whole sex party thing, and then literally the next episode was the whole thing with him and Bianca and whatnot. He did grow, I think, as a person over time, and those later appearances definitely benefited him. So I'm going to put him at a low 4-star. And I think that's a fair place for him. Kate, again, I want to put her high, but I don't feel I can. Again, like her appearance right at the end of series 3 when she came in after the whole Brandy situation, she did well. And that was a nicer side of Kate. And is that just because of the way that the character was through all that time? Yeah, she has to be a 3-star. She's again, I'm going to put a top level 3 along with sort of Michael and Chantal. Because, again, she's very iconic to the show, especially in the early series. But just the way that she was as a character, I can't put her that much higher. So I think literally having them pretty much next to each other is about right. Brandy, played by Sheridan Smith. Obviously, she came in loudmouth northerner. Again, I'm going to put her upper 3-star because what she did in her limited run on the show was good. You know, because she was a scammer at the end of the day. She was a scammer. And so when you watch the episodes back, upon reflection, after knowing what she ends up doing, you see certain stuff. And I like that with her. So, yeah, she was a strong character in there. Cyril Babcock, or Squirrel Big Cock, whatever you want to call him. Good. I liked him. They had two very, very different performances in his two kind of different stints on the show. Solid 3-star. Solid 3-star character. Can't say much more than that. Back to again some OGs with Gavin and Troy. Three stars for me, because both of them they were solid without being glamorous, if that makes any sense. I think they were just to the point. Turn up, do some good stuff, have some good interactions with different characters. I think Gavin worked well in the series when he was there, and it was sort of him and Noreen, because she was on her own. Them two as a partnership really, really worked. But again, once they weren't together, they definitely felt very different characters. Gavin on his own or Troy on his own. So yeah, I think solid three stars there. Can't say fairer than that. Bianca, bottom, 1 star. Hated her as a character. Moving on. Tonya! Say about Hannah Waddingham, and I have to try and avoid my Hannah Waddingham bias to creep in here. Again, her type of character is one I hate. Hannah Waddingham plays her amazingly. And I'm going to put her, as a result, at a 2-star. Because I did like the way that she bickered with Clive. But yeah, just it's that type of character I do not resonate with. I mean, was it in anything else? If you take Hannah Waddingham as oh god, I can't even remember the character's name now. But the one in Ted Lasso, Rebecca in Ted Lasso, like, she would be 5-star. Like, she's such an amazing actress, and of course she's an amazing singer as well, which in this she obviously demonstrated with the whole winner takes it all bit, which I really enjoyed. I really liked that bit. But I knew it was coming because I know Hannah Waddingham. But yeah, Tonya, she's going down a bit. Clive. I'm going to put him in the 3-star category because I think once you took away Bianca and Tonya, him and Toyga, and especially adding in Terry, his sister, that felt much more of a balanced unit. I liked Clive there, and I would have liked to have seen more of him, Tiger, and Terry. Terry, and what she did when she was in there was, again, it was fine. She had that whole thing with Mateo. She really showed her cards when she screwed over Monty after Monty screwed over Clive. So again, I'm going to put her literally right next to her brother, Clive, in a 3-star camp. So I think we can see where a lot of the characters are going. There's much more sort of middle of the road here. But we are on to our final kind of lot here. And of course, the legend, Donald Stewart. The legend, Jacqueline Stewart. The swingers of every town they ever go to. Oh yes, they cannot go anywhere than a 5-star. Glyn, was it Glyn or Glenn? One of the two. Obviously, he was a substitute for Donald when Kenny Island was ill and then sadly passed away. He's a 2-star. He tried his best, and they tried their best to make do. You can't do much more with him. They did their best, but the way that he wrote the character, he's subpar, really. And then Crystal Hennessy Vass, played by Joan Collins. I'm going to put her right up there with Joyce Temple Savage. I think when she came in her sporadic appearances, every single appearance she just nailed. And that's what you have to do. If you're only going to be in a smattering and handful of episodes, you have to make the most of it in every little appearance. And she did. Joan Collins absolutely nailed that character. Mr. Wu, I hated him. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Yeah, it's buffet animation. Not Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but Buffet. Ugh. Just every appearance. He's the opposite. He didn't make the most of it. Well, I don't know. I guess the character made the most of it, but I don't like the character. He just annoyed me. There was just no rhyme or reason for it. It's like, again, maybe if you'd done him in 1 or 2 episodes max, you could argue that he could get a better score. But the way he kept coming up, no, bottom of the pile for me. Now we move on to the Dawsons. And this could be one of the hardest ones. I'm going to start with Eddie and Loretta because they're pretty easy. For me, absolute 4 stars. I'm definitely putting them in the 4-star category. Eddie alone, from their appearance in Series 8, was fine. He was the Madge equivalent, did an okay job. But it's when Loretta came in, and I cannot now see either of them characters without the other. They are so linked to one another that it just doesn't work without the other. And just the way they bicker with one another, it was joyous. One of the definitely the highlights of the later series. Them two together, beautiful. Billy and Sharon. Again, I've got a soft spot for Steve Edge. I like Steve Edge in what he does. And I'm planning on doing a reaction to something that he's been in called the Madame Blanc Mysteries, because I keep hearing about it on a podcast that he does, which is kind of a radio show with Jason Manford. I've heard about it quite a bit, and I like the idea of it. It sounds interesting. Where can I put them? Because, again, they're a sort of in between a 3-star and a 4-star. I almost feel there should be a 3.5-star category. I feel that there should be something here. Because there's so many that are literally on the cusp. They're literally right on that borderline. I'm going to do similar to what I did previously. I'm going to separate them. I'm going to put Billy at a 4-star and Sharon at a 3. And yeah, Sharon at times I felt a little bit more one-dimensional. Billy was just that goofy dad that everyone loves. But they're literally borderline. They're literally like teetering, like you nudge them, they'll fall one way or another across that line. Now we're left with a final big 4. So we've got Kenneth, Liam, Les, and of course Melvin Churchill Harvey. Liam is an upper 4 for me. He, again, at odd moments, just felt a little bit one-dimensional at points. He was great. And again, this is a borderline between a 4 and a 5. Absolutely. His relationship with Les, who is a 5-star, was just a joy to behold. It was an absolute joy. It really, really was. I think it's maybe the way that Liam started off, that he was also gooey, puppy-eyed kind of thing, constantly going after Natalie. He didn't develop until a later point. And then, of course, he was kind of coming away and going a bit, and then they just sort of made him a bit camp, and they didn't really give him like true, like proper storylines of his own. And I think that's something that would have just helped him push him into that 5-star level. If he'd had a real good storyline, something that maybe span across a few episodes, that would have, I think, just benefited him. Kenneth, again, he's teetering. Is he a 4? Is he a 5? Where does he ultimately fall? He's a 5. He's that iconic to the show. Again, like you think of core characters, he is literally up there with that. And then, of course, Melvin Churchill Harvey. the epitome of being in the show a short amount of time and making an impact. He's a 5-star man. He is absolutely 5-star. The fact that I'm talking about him with such fondness in Series 10, when he literally appeared in Series 2 and 3 and sadly passed away after Series 3, you know, I think the way that they wrote him out of the show was the most beautiful thing that was possibly done on this show in total. So yeah, that is my ranking list. And I'll tell you what, let's just do a very quick compare. So this one here on the left is the average placement of anyone else who's done this. Obviously, I've amended mine ever so slightly, and there was actually a 6th layer in this called bad. So between okay and terrible, but there was literally no one on there. So I feel bad for Vladimir being here right at the very bottom here. Glenn, I've got in the same place. Jason, I mean, I've put him lower. Sid, I've put her higher. They've got Helen Pace in here. Yeah, Malcolm, Sammy Valentino, I think is fair. Yeah, again, maybe the dentist guy, you could argue one way or another. Callum, this is what I said. I think that's harsh. I think it's harsh on Callum. Yeah, I really, really do. Jodie, I've got in the same place, haven't I? Oh, no, I put her 1 down. But again, yeah, you could argue. She was okay. Yeah, Bobby Ball, same place. No, why? Why have they put Jack as a good character? Doesn't make sense. Monty, again, you could argue that maybe he pushes up. I just pushed it. Same as the same Henry. Why? Why have they got bloody Yanela as a good character? She was awful. But again, this is obviously subjective. I mean, like, they've got Bianca up in now. I've got both of them, you know, the 1-star, you know. They've got Mr. Wu up here. Like, people clearly seem to love Mr. Wu. I mean, you'll have to let me know what your viewpoints are on some of these. Yeah, I mean, all of these God tier ones, I can't argue against them. If that's where people want to put them, you know, Michael and Chantal, you know, being OGs, you know, for me they just didn't do enough as characters and for storylines and stuff. And because they were in so many episodes, that's why it just, yeah, I feel I'm being subjective with that one. Any surprising ones anywhere that I can see? Not especially. I wouldn't say necessarily anything remarkably shocking, because everyone's views are going to be subjective. So, yeah, this is mine. And if you want to have a go yourself, I will put the link to this in the video description, and drop it in the comments as well, because obviously I won't necessarily be able to see your specific ones. Because you can't share it. I wish there was a way, like in comments, you could attach a photo, like do a copy paste or whatever. That would be good, because then I could see your views. But yeah, if you need to, write it in the comments and let me know who you would put and where out of these 60 characters. Try not to do any ones that weren't on this list, because otherwise that's just a pain in the backside. But yeah, I had fun doing this, and if anyone has any suggestions for other tier lists, maybe I can do more of them if you like this kind of thing. It's something a little bit different, but hey, I had fun doing it, and yeah, that's one more thing to do with Benidorm. Obviously, the other thing I want to do is I want to finally put together my footage of what I did in Benidorm and kind of put it together for you guys and put it out there. I want to obviously do a karaoke top 10 ranking list, which I don't think I could do in this particular style. I'd have to do it in a different way. But yeah, this is the way that I'm doing it. So thank you for sharing my Benidorm journey with me. And obviously there is technically more to come. And you know, there's rumors that the show may possibly be coming back in the future. I can only hope. But that's going to do it for today. Thank you once again. Drop your comments, subscribe, consider joining the Patreon. But for now, my name's Kevin. I'm a geek, and you've been watching Kevin the Geek. Goodbye.